Bases dropped Wall Pass Wednesday, and quoting our old friend Cletus Snow, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there. This is how packed we are. I debated coming on like 15 to 20 minutes early this morning. So here's the rundown. When he is secured in his office space, because he is commuting in, he's got trains and things to navigate and making sure that he's going to be there in one piece. And yesterday, for those that might have seen it, was the opportunity to catch up with the MLS new evaluations. And the author of said piece is going to be joining us here, hopefully in about 9 minutes or so, when he is settled into his office space. We're going to catch up with Kurt, and we'll find out what's going on in his mind as it all is laid out. Kurt Badenhausen from Sportico is going to join us, and we're going to talk about the MLS evaluations, stuff at the top, stuff at the bottom, folks in the middle, how they come up with these numbers. We're going to talk math, so it's going to be another tour of math. Then also in the show, it's going to be catching up with Lagos Kunga. Caught up with him as he's getting ready for his new gig at Portland Hearts of Pine. They just got back from a week of training camp. I think it was in Bermuda. So going from the Caribbean back to Portland, Maine, catching up with Lagos and his new gig. Ronan Wynne, we're going to catch up with him in hour number 2 because I have to load things in and unload things to get to Ronan's interview. Caught up with him in the parking lot last night at River Ridge. He was not. He was in Auckland, New Zealand. So we're going to catch up with Ronan Wynne. We're going to catch up with our friend Aaron Adams and find out about NXT Soccer. We've got all the breaking news that happened this morning. We have 2 coach sackings. We have what happened in the Triple C last night. So it literally is going to be blowing through all the headlines, very guest heavy. And then we also have the first edition of the Red Clay Soccer Report coming up at noon, where we catch up with coaches in and around the state and find out what's going on. With high school soccer, Tyler Mayer, Lake Oconee Academy, Jason Page, who's going to be on tape, Jeremy Steele from Tallulah Falls, Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek. They're all going to join us in the 12 o'clock hour, separate broadcast, but it'll be here on the network. Now, let's get you into things. And also, don't forget, we have been doing something really cool over at soccerdownhere.net. Since it is the 10th season, what we have been doing is coming up with the top 10 moments of various categories when it comes to Atlanta United. Top 10 homegrown moments is up. Top 10 defining homegrown moments is up, or 10 defining. And so go back and go to soccerdownhere.net. We're a couple of days in. It gets released at 4 o'clock every day. And we have different topics that we have that we all kind of get together and we put it in a pile, and Jason sorts it out and comes up with 10X. Last time out, it's 10 defining homegrown moments. And so that was yesterday. Today's is coming up at 4 o'clock. So all of our progressions that we have, and go ahead and share your thoughts as well, either on social media or here in the show and all that kind of stuff. So very, very busy Wall Pass Wednesday here on SDH. Now, getting into the news of the day, technically, I guess this is going to be opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. It is starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy-bodied with notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Atlanta United's got a new jersey. It's sick, and I'm in trouble. It's ridiculous what they've done. Saw the presentation last night. Maddie and Jason were there. Just keep an eye out on the SDH socials for all of the things that are attached to it. 30th anniversary of the 1996 5-Ring Classic, and it is all attached to that. It's the green and gold, and it's crazy, and I'm probably going to buy like 19 different things and go into the poorhouse. The credit card that you'll see smoking out of my wallet is mine. So you got that. Thomas Frank got sacked in the overnight from Spurs. And according to our buddy Ben Jacobs, they tried to give him time. The situation became untenable. Decision was made by the Spurs leadership team, including Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Lang, recommended to the board. Nick Butcher also involved, active on behalf of the Lewis family, even though he doesn't sit on the board. Spurs have contingency plans in place, including potential interims. Pochettino is a candidate for the permanent vacancy, but obviously he's not available until after the World Cup. De Zerbi and Iraola both approached by Daniel Levy before his departure, turned down approaches back then. Frank's recently hired assistant John Heitinga remains contracted as it stands. And according to our friends at Talk Sport, it was $6.7 million to bring Thomas Frank and his staff from Brentford. So $6.7 million, and the Thomas Frank era at Spurs is done. Roberto De Zerbi is done. You know, this is almost like the Mayflower moving vans at Marseille. You get thumped 5-0 by PSG, you're out the door. And so De Zerbi, once again, taken in the best interest of the club. Decision involving Frank McCourt, Pablo Longoria, Mehdi Benatia, and De Zerbi himself. 19 points behind PSG. And now Marseille is heading into the Champions League qualifications. You know, you're trying to qualify for that. So it's going to be how do we phrase this? It's going to be an itchy season with Marseille, trying to figure out what to do now with Roberto De Zerbi gone. San Diego FC reached the round of the 16 in the Triple C last night, losing 1-0, but it was obviously enough when you had a 4-1 lead going down to Mexico and taking on Pumas. Pumas got the 1-0 win. And so you had that happen last night. You also had, when you look at your brackets, you had the advancement of a Tigres over Forge, 4-1 final there in that one, and in the aggregate. So Tigres will take on the winner of FC Cincinnati and O&M, and that is low right in your bracket. Now with San Diego FC advancing, they get to take on Toluca in the round of 16. 1-1 draw for the U17s yesterday afternoon in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but the match was in St. Vincent. So I guess in the collective sense, it was a 1-1 draw. 10-man U.S. M&T U17s qualify for the World Cup with the 1-1 draw against the Dominican Republic, and they will move on, and now they'll prep for their time getting ready on the world stage in November. So very, very cool stuff there as well. Philadelphia's added Agustin Anello, permanent transfer from Boston River. Instant fans from Kentucky will be added to the Philadelphia Union. 28-29 is the end of the contract initially, option year beyond that. And the Miami native gets to come back into the United States. Big Clausura in Uruguay. Robert Lewandowski's weighing his next move. Chicago Fire have been interested. We'll see what happens there. And you've got, let's see, Como stunning Napoli in the Coppa Italia shootout. Freiburg surviving Hertha in the German Cup. Let's see, championship playoff in the EFL might expand to 6 teams. So we'll see what happens there. And I'm trying to look at the other headlines. Oh, yeah, our buddy John Texter. Botafogo, obviously, when enlisting our friends at GDA Luma and Hutton, that's high-interest stuff. And so to navigate all of this, you now have more concerns. Reports indicating Texter's plan to convert the funding into equity. And so investors go to shareholders and easing the debt burden. And once again, you protect, if you are John Texter, your status in the structure of the SAF. And I don't necessarily think that's going to go well. So we'll see what happens there with that. And that's going to be the fun part of the conversation with our friends at Botafogo and our buddy John Texter. So also yesterday in the Premier League, you had all of those matchups happening simultaneously. You've got more of them coming in today because, remember, this is an FA Cup weekend. And you had, in addition to the Spurs moment yesterday, and I'm not even going to use the hashtag, and I just want to know if they're going to be patient when they bring in their next big-name manager. Yesterday, 1-1 draw, West Ham and Manchester United. Chelsea and Leeds, a 2-2 draw. Chelsea had a lead. They blew it. Bournemouth, the big win at Bramley Moore Dock, 2-1 over Everton at a plus 200. And Newcastle with their 2-1 win over Spurs. Today, it's 5 matches at 2:30. Nottingham and Wolves. Nottingham a minus 143 at City Ground. Manchester City a minus 278 hosting Fulham, who's a plus 662. Burnley at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace basically at Selhurst is a minus 196 in the composite. Villa on the plus side barely, hosting Brighton at a plus 102. Brighton's a plus 250. Liverpool on the road at Sunderland is a minus 130. Sunderland is a plus 350 in the Premier League. So obviously you've got to be, if you're Manchester City, you got to keep the beat and get the win. And they are favored against Fulham today. Now, let me see if I can blow through a couple of other things as we wait for our first guest today. Like I said, this is the most guest-heavy show I think we've ever had. And we might even get a visit from Dylan Butler in 45 minutes. We'll see what happens. what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis. And it's at fntz.co/soccer down here. Link is important, helps them, helps us, helps you, adding more matches to everything you got. Fanatis, you get all the BNs, which means you get a lot of action in South America. You get AFCON, CAF Champions League, Tigo Sports, and you also get CATV. TVV, if you want Venezuelan Winter League Baseball added to your package, anything out of Venezuela, you get a lot of the leagues in South America, also at Fanatis. And it is a TC, CDO, Nuestro Tele, and Liga 1 Max Pro, and a bunch of others. All across South America, one place, one subscription, one home. FNTZ.co/soccer down here. Today, Copa Libertadores is on BN. Alianza Lima, Segunda de Mayo at 7:30. FS2 has the Triple C, America and Olimpia. BN in Espanol simulcasting Libertadores. Fox Deportes has the Honduran League at 4. CONCACAF Champions Cup on 2 to N8 at 8 and 10. Premier League on Universo at 3:15 at Sunderland and Liverpool. DFP Pokal at 2:45 on the Plus. Fox Soccer Plus has the U17 Championships. Serie B at 2 o'clock. Paramount Plus at 3 with the Copa Italia. Motherwell and Rangers at 3. Peacock has all 4 matches at 2:30. Women's side, Women's Champions League, 12:45 and 3 on CBS Sports Network. ESPN Deportes has the same matches, as does Paramount Plus. That's your day. Fanatis, FNTZ.co/soccer down here. Okay, first guest on the day. Catch your breath, people. It's going to be one of those days. All right, it's time to find out about numbers. And let's go to our friend at Sportico and find out how he came up with all of the math. And the man has survived his train ride in. He is locked in. Kurt, thanks for dropping by and helping us with the math on this bad boy.
Yeah, a lot of numbers here, I think a lot of takeaways from MLS, which is a league that I find, talking to people in the business community, is quite polarizing on how you feel about this league. And I think that shows up in the valuations that we had. We had franchises going down, franchises at the top soaring over the $1 billion valuation level. Yeah, a lot of big changes coming to MLS over the next 3 years. That's for sure.
I feel like I should be like the match game in Gene Rayburn. How polarizing was it? One of those kinds of things. So in your research, how polarizing were the thoughts about where MLS is? Because in the valuations, some folks are up 6%, league up 14% on the whole. How polarizing was it, he asked?
Yeah, we had the league up 6% on a whole, which again is, but yeah, a handful of clubs up double digits, and then a handful down, which we haven't seen traditionally with North American sports teams over the last decade or so. I mean, because what we've seen is an absolute explosion in valuations in the NFL, NBA, NHL, WNBA, and WSL. I'm leaving Major League Baseball out because they are going through some tricky economic times right now, to use a euphemism, I guess, as the RSN model absolutely melts down. And so MLS doesn't have to worry about that because obviously everything streams through Apple. And so that deal, which was originally kind of painted as this, oh my gosh, we're partnering with the biggest company in the world and most valuable company in the world, and they're going to send us into the stratosphere, obviously has not gone as planned with the double paywall. Haven't hit the targets that would kick off the revenue sharing model for clubs, and so teams are still barely, and because they cover production costs, barely netting a few $1 million per club. And that's hard to support yourself. You think about Premier League clubs, everybody's getting over $100 million, even the team that finishes 20th in the table. And North American sports leagues, hockey, is the closest comp in terms of media proposition. And those clubs are getting $40 million a deal, $40 million per club with the next Canadian TV deal, plus the US deal. So what we've seen is a lot of excitement at the top of the financial table. Inter Miami, as in a whole nother stratosphere, new buildings coming in Miami, as well as NYCFC, Chicago, one of the biggest challenges for MLS, we've seen a lot of success with the expansion markets and some of these expansion teams in some of these smaller markets and mid-sized markets in Austin, Columbus, Cincinnati. But the big market clubs have held this league back outside of LA. Chicago, has been searching for a venue situation for years. NYC FC, since they came into the league, has been trying to figure out their stadium. So those two are on track. Miami obviously is opening this year. You're some traction in New England on getting a new building there. So there's a lot to point to in terms of local markets that are having success. But in terms of evaluations overall, you have two clubs that are on the market right now trying to find new control owners, Vancouver, San Jose. And both processes haven't been great. You haven't had really, nobody's stepped up. And Axel Schuster, laid all the cards on the table in Vancouver about how grim the process has been, and said, not one person wants to invest by 1% of this club. Of all the people that have looked, 30, 40 people have signed NDAs to look at the numbers, and nobody wants to buy 1%. So that's pretty damning if you think about those clubs at the bottom of the financial table.
Yeah, and with Vancouver, they're looking to build their own barn. The city is trying to sit there and say, "Hey, look, we'll kick you back these kinds of things," and it ends up, I think, being like $1.5 million across the board. And that might help you out in securing a player and making sure that you get a little bit of payroll, but that really doesn't help you in the overall. And this is a club that's been on the market, I think, for close to 18 months. And they're looking at Hastings Park right now. They want to be in control of their own revenue streams. I know that you and I, outside of today, probably could have our own hour in discussing everything else that's going on in Major League Soccer. When it comes to the parameters and the equations to set up your math and your evaluations, for those that haven't had the chance to dive into the survey, how does the math work when it comes to what Sportico did?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I did this at Forbes for 22 years. And before that, valuing club sports teams at a place called Financial World in the mid-90s, late 90s. And so this isn't a perfect science. We're in the same way. You don't know for sure what somebody's going to buy for pay for your house. You don't know for sure what somebody's going to pay for a sports team until the deal is done. And there aren't a lot of data points. You might have dozens of houses sold in your neighborhood, but until Utah sold last year, it had been more than 3 years since a MLS franchise had sold. In terms of control stake, new control owner coming in, calling the shots. We've seen lots of clubs sell slivers of teams, either to fund new new facilities, investments, cover losses. People take money off the table, all different reasons for LP stake sales. And so the way we approach this is to look at revenue multiples and assign those to revenues. That's traditionally how sports teams, whether you're talking about the NFL, NBA, Major League Soccer, Real Madrid, Premier League clubs, that's how bankers, investors look at sports teams. And the reason why they looked at revenue multiples is because traditionally these teams lost money. So while the stock market, we look at earnings and price to earnings ratio, they don't do that in sports because often the earnings number is zero or negative. So in the same way that when we had the NASDAQ bubble in the late 1990s and Pets.com and all these other internet companies were worth billions of dollars, they looked at multiples of revenue because there was no earnings there. We do the same thing with sports teams. So MLS, there was so much excitement. If you go back 4 years ago, World Cup was coming. We're getting a new big media deal that everybody thought was going to be huge. There was a lot of excitement. MLS clubs were actually trading at higher revenue multiples than NBA, NFL, basically any sports league in the world. And what we've seen over time is those revenue multiples have been dialed back. Part of it is they've grown into the valuation, revenues have increased, but part of it is some of the excitement has certainly died down when you think about investing in MLS because there's a bit of arguably a rocky road ahead, with nobody knows what the next media deal is going to look like. And so we value MLS clubs at an average of about 9 times revenue. And so what we look at is local revenue, and what we look at is our comps. Again, I said there's not a lot of comps out there, but Utah sold last year. Our reporting found the total deal was $580 million. $480 million of that was for the MLS club. $100 million of that was assigned to the NWSL club in the deal. We just had a trade in Kansas City, Sporting Kansas City, where a minority owner took over. So that was 700-ish. These numbers are a little fudgy sometimes. There's a buyer number and a seller number often in terms of how you calculate it. But again, when you look at San Jose, we have the value of that going down, and again, it's still probably out kicks its revenue because it's in the Bay Area, and there are so many rich people in Northern California that you would expect one of them, once the price gets to a certain point, to step up and say, I want to own a sports team, and this is my entree, because the Golden State Warriors are going to cost you $11 billion, $12 billion. San Francisco 49ers are selling pieces for more than $9 billion. So MLS gives you a way into being a sports team owner for that next group of people that aren't worth $1, $2, $10 billion.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as you don't mention John Fisher in a sentence to some folks in the Bay Area. Hey, did you know that? Hey, did you know the owner of San Jose is John Fisher? Buzzers go off and everything like that. So would you view MLS, when it comes to prices and prospective ownership? Because obviously you look at Vancouver right now, you've got them at 153 of 154, next to last in MLS at 450. You've got you mentioned the Revs and their new building, and you mentioned RSL with their flip. San Jose is 368, so 22nd or 23rd, I forget what my math is, out of 30. They're at just under 600. You had new ownership take over a handful of years ago in Houston. Minnesota's going to be investing in James Rodriguez to a certain extent. Nashville's bringing in folks. St. Louis, I feel like with them in caps, I feel like you need to go St. Louis City SC at 675. Is Major League Soccer, in your view, still a growth market when it comes to diving in and understanding what the franchise values can be, or is it leveling off in your mind when it comes to a jumping in point for ownership these days?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, if you look at the growth over the last few years, I was up 6% this year, up 6% last year. You look at that compared to the NFL, NBA, those teams, those leagues have been growing 20, 30% annually over the last few years. So if you think about the entry price, there's a lot of people that will look at one of these MLS clubs and say, okay, I can buy an MLS team for $550 million. I can see a path where I double my investment. So that team is worth $1 billion. In a easier way than I'm going to take an NBA team, an NFL team valuation from $9 billion to $18 billion. The problem, there's a couple of problems there. One, the NFL is like a guaranteed dividend stock. You know what your TV rights are going to be. You know a minimum of what your TV rights are going to be through 2032, and you also have the opt-out, which is certainly coming. So your TV rights are probably going to be bigger.
Yes.
And those are going to be locked in. And you are going to be making money because of the hard cap. You're going to be making, every team's going to be making $100 million, and a lot of teams are going to be making more than $200 million as an NFL team. MLS, there's a lot of uncertainty ahead. Earlier opt-out with the Apple deal. What does that mean? Suddenly everybody going to be banging down the door to get in on MLS when that deal expires in 2029? I don't know. I mean, we will see. There's some optimism there that, with the star power coming into the league, that media properties will jump in MLS. But again, a lot of people are talking about, we got to cut back in other areas to save money for the NFL. Fox has been very clear that if they have to pair their other sports properties so that they can save money for the NFL, they're going to do it because they need to be in the NFL business, and that's going to be expensive. So again, and you're going to lose money probably owning an MLS team too, which is different. Almost all of them are losing money, which is not any different than the Premier League or most other global soccer clubs. They are cash flow negative. So there is uncertainty there, but again, there is a path. We've seen this local markets that have had tremendous success as ticketing and sponsorship businesses. I mean, if you think about Inter Miami, they're going to do more than, they're projecting $250 million in ticketing and sponsorship revenue in the new building, or about $230 million in ticketing and sponsorship revenue. That's more than 3/4 of NBA teams. Mm-hmm. That's more than half the NFL. But of course, the component they're missing is TV. So there's not a check coming from the league, which differentiates MLS from those other major North American sports leagues or the Premier League or La Liga. They really need to figure out the TV or the media component.
And there's also going to be an individual, unless you can cryogenically freeze his abilities, that once number 10 decides he's going to hang it up, what do you do for an encore to keep that momentum in that building, which I still maintain is undersized for what MLS needs to be, even though I know you can't build it high because then planes will hit it as they're going into the airport. Two surprises for me in the top 10. And one of them you got into because of the new blood that's attached. San Diego FC, they got the win last night. They're going into the Sweet 16 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. San Diego coming in at 765 and Austin coming in at 910. That one was a big stunner for me. What is it about Austin, Texas? Was Anthony Precourt correct all along?
There's a lot to like with Austin. I mean, they raised money last year around at over $900 million. Again, it's not a perfect translation from a limited partner transaction to a control sale, but a couple things they have going for them. One, it's the club has hit the ground running since it entered MLS, sold out every single game, has opportunity to expand the stadium and generate more revenue. Revenue's top 10 in the league. There is a lot of money in Austin right now, and more money coming into Austin right now. So that gives a lot of opportunity in terms of pricing power when you think about on the individual side and then on corporate side, because so many businesses are moving to Texas, and Austin is the center of the tech movement in Texas. So there's a lot to like in Austin, and it's the only game in town. I mean, you have UT football. So that's probably number 1, 2, and 3 when you think about sports in Austin.
But good luck getting a ticket to get into DKR, man. I mean, come on.
But in terms of professional sports, Austin right now is again the only game in town. So they've done extremely well on the business side.
For those that don't know where to grab this survey, because it's always great to punch the numbers out, where can folks go and find your information and your math to dig into what you found out about Major League Soccer? Hit the promo for me.
Yeah, Sportico.com. You can find all of the MLS stuff, plus all of our sports business coverage over the last 5 years since we launched, and certainly on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find me at K Badenhausen, as well as Sportico's. We've got great data visualization guy who presents the data. Guys, I've been doing this 25 plus years, and I got all these people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe the stuff you're doing now is so good." I said, "Well, I've been doing the same thing, but we have a guy who presents it in an extremely engaging way." With different kinds of visualizations. So you can find all those too on Sportico, as well as on our social media feeds.
Love your work, love your math, and it was a slam dunk for me to reach out to you once the numbers came back out, and I'm glad that we were able to do this on the hop. Kurt, you are the man, and we will be knocking on your door soon, especially when we have math questions, because I suck at math. And I need to come and consult a mathematical oracle when it comes to sports and franchises. Thanks for dropping by on short notice. We really appreciate it. Love the survey.
Thanks, John. I'm your math guy. Any questions, come to me. I got you.
Beautiful. I love it. Go get your caffeine. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
And there goes Kurt Badenhausen. That was cool. I mean, literally, I reached out to him yesterday, and I'm like, "Hey, dude." I didn't actually say dude. I said, hey, Kurt. I mean, I didn't dude him immediately. But no, it was great to catch up with Kurt and get those numbers, and we'll go over those numbers kind of leading into the season. And if there's anything economic, we're going to catch up with Kurt, and we'll find out what's going on with him. Okay, that was guest number one. All right, guest number two, and that comes from the magic of videotape. And yesterday, we were able to catch up with an individual who has a new gig, and we get to find out what it's like for our buddy Lagos Kunga to go from Omaha to Portland to be a part of Portland Hearts of Pine, and we'll find out what's going on with Lagos. So here's that conversation that we had with him to find out how he's doing, how he is, and what life is like for him in Maine. So how is Portland, Maine, sir?
It's awesome so far since I've been here. I've been here for maybe like a week now, I would say. I came here a few weeks ago, but we had 1 week, and then we had preseason in Bermuda, so we just got back last night. So yeah, a little different. Good weather.
Well, I was going to say, so you had preseason camp in Bermuda. Please explain yourself, sir. Portland Hearts of Pine and Bermuda. That sounds like it's two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, two different. We went from like it's freezing here, and then so I went from Arizona because I'm staying in Arizona now to Portland, and then to Bermuda. Bermuda was amazing.
How can you guys learn while you're in Bermuda? That's my next question.
Exactly. It was tough.
What was it about P-Hop that you were like, yeah, I think I'll go here for my next stage?
So it was I think that one of the main thing that drove me here was Bobby. Bobby reached out to me, and he told me about the city, about the he told me about the community, how passionate the fans were, and he seemed like a very genuine person as a coach, and that was very important to me to go somewhere where like good staff and good team. They did very well last year, and yeah, they did very very well. So I knew we were gonna be good. It's a team. They really shocked like the soccer world in the USL, and they set up a high bar. I've watched many of the games. They sold out a lot of their games, and I just wanted to be a part of that, and so that's why I came here. And now that I'm here, like I'm gonna give it all, and I really, really want to win here, So
What were those conversations like? Did Bobby tell you, hey, I want you here to do this, and this? Is it I need a veteran in the locker room for a growing team? Was it something else that I'm missing out here? Was it choice D, all the above? What were those conversations like?
yeah, so he called me, and he told me like kind of my role, and he told me like, with your injury, like I know we're gonna be patient with you, and I know you're not gonna be a 90-minute guy right away, but we want you to work towards that. So like, he also told me about the community, and it's like a big Angolan population in Maine. So that was one of the things that really drove me out here. So
Did that surprise you that there is a large Angolan contingent there by percentage? Obviously, was that a shock to you?
yeah, for sure. Because everywhere I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Arizona now. Like I don't see many Angolans ever, like nowhere.
Mhm.
So I guess they're all just hanging out over here in Maine. So that was a surprise.
Well, and have you had the chance to, in the few days that you've been there, have you had the chance to interact with them or reach out, or have you started that process to get acquainted with them and them with you?
So obviously when they announced me, it's the club is very big. Like they showed me a lot of love, like the fans, and then a lot of Angolans and Congolese, which is like close because I speak Lingala, which is a Congolese language. They like went in my DMs, hit me, reached out, like, hey, like I'm from Angola, like I can't wait to see you play, this and that. So I've been replying to like every few of them and told them like, hey, like, yeah, excited to meet you. Like, hopefully we can meet soon. One of the people, like, I went to church with an Angolan the week before we went to Bermuda. So like I'm integrating like slowly, but I haven't been here for so long. Like I said, we've been here for 1 week and then we went to Bermuda. So now we're back and get the ball rolling.
I'm still trying to sink in with this idea of, yeah, I was in Portland, Maine, and then we went to Bermuda, and now we're back. So last year, how tough was it? I mean, folks could follow your progress on social media, what have you. You're injured, you're rehabbing. How tough a calendar year was it for you?
Man, it's a grind. I think, you know, it's a grind. It's hard mentally, and it's very hard because it's a lonely road. I want to say, like, I had my support group for sure. I went back home and did the surgery in Arizona, so I had my support there. But it was hard, especially the beginning. Like, it was like very hard. But once like I came to a realization that I'm gonna be out for a whole year and that I can't physically play, that's when when I came to that realization, I was like, okay, like I gotta either work work hard to get back, or I've just got to sit here and moan and, you know, like not get nothing done. So, but yeah, but the beginning it was terrible. Now it's much better.
What did you learn? What have you learned about yourself in this process?
I learned, you know, like I learned to not take things for granted when I'm out there playing, play as hard as you can. I learned discipline, and I learned how much like I could do, like, you know, like if I just put my mind to it, like every day waking up, like I have to do it. Like if I want to get back to, you know, playing, because obviously I had to learn everything again. Had to learn how to walk and learn how to be an athlete. So I learned to like every day, like I have to wake up and do something like 1% every day, or else, you know, like I won't be able to, you know, play again. So I learned just that discipline of work, you know, working hard, you know. So
On a scale of say 1 to 100, or if we let's keep it to 90 minutes. Let's keep it to 90 because of 90 minutes in a match. On a scale of 0 to 90, where do you think you are right now in your recovery?
So right now, I still have a long way to go. At the club here, they've been really kicking my butt. So they've been hard on me. So every day I'm doing like 3 sessions a day. So I would wake up, gym, go outside, do ball stuff with the trainer, and then go back inside, do the BFR. So I'm not with the group like fully yet, non-contact, but like right now I'm just working on fitness. The other day I jumped in because we did fitness. I jumped in with the group, and you know it was hard, but you know like I did it and like it felt good. So I'm definitely in a good spot. So like some of the things, like for example, like um you know, obviously it's a mental game, and some of the things like the cutting and stuff, like I was nervous about, but like
Hmm?
now, like, you know, like when we did the fitness, I slipped a few times and got up and was like, oh, like I could do it. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But my timeline is like two 2 months ish, so I will miss maybe the first few games, and then I should be good to go.
Well, so you mentioned that first thing that goes wrong, for lack of a better word, that first slip, that first fall. Are you kind of freaking out at that second, that like that you have that gap of like, okay, I've fallen, and then it's like you take a beat, and then you realize, okay, we've gone through that, we've gone to the other side. Was that kind of how it was when you took that first slip?
Yeah, for sure. That's how kind of how my recovery has been. Like first, like I question myself and they tell me, "Hey, do this," and I'm like, "Dang, I don't know if I could do it." And then once I do it and kind of jump over that hurdle, I feel much better. You know, like I kind of jumped into a rondo, did a little bit of rondo, and I didn't think I could do it. And then you know, I defended as well, and I'm like, oh, like I can actually do this, you know. It's just that mental like block, but once you go past it, you feel fine. So yeah, when I slipped, I was like, because I was wearing tennis shoes, I slipped, and then I put all my weight on that foot, on that leg, and I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. Got up and then ran again. So it was, yeah. So it's just that mental. That's where I'm at. It's just that trusting myself again, and knowing like, hey, my leg is strong. It's okay, and I can do it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and obviously in each step of your career, each location that you've been, I imagine that you've got to learn a lot about yourself. You're different than you were in Omaha, and you're probably different from where you were in Des Moines, when you were, crushing it with the Menace and that all-star squad that they put together for Open Cup and stuff. And then the cup of coffee that you had at All Coombs, which I thought was really interesting. What was it about challenging yourself there that was the it's like, yeah, I think I'll go there. I mean, it's not every day that somebody is going to sit there and go, well, I think I'm going to go to Libya and play professionally. What have you learned about yourself each step of the way?
No, yeah, that experience was a bit crazy. I've never, since I left Angola when I was so young, and then my mom always goes back to Africa and she enjoys it and everything. So I mean, part of it was going back to kind of Africa and being close to kind of where I'm from, and like wanting to see like the culture. Because I came here when I was so young, and like I kind of got spoiled with this lifestyle. So I kind of wanted to see all that, to kind of see something different, Obviously, like here we play the same teams and stuff like that. So I wanted to like kind of step out of that zone, like my comfort zone, and kind of see something different. So that was part of why I went there.
Yeah, and I get that completely. You're playing at the Christiansund, and then obviously the cups of coffee that you have. You start with Atlanta United and all the other pieces there with Memphis and Phoenix and such. Obviously, since we're based back here in Atlanta, I have to ask you this question.
Okay.
What did your time with United do to help you become the professional that you are today, do you think?
Yeah, so when I first signed with Atlanta United, obviously I was very young. I took a lot of it for granted, and I wasn't as professional. And they like after they saw me kind of like start slipping off, they try to help me, like said, hey, like we're gonna put you on every day. You have to weigh yourself. You have to do this, do that. Like, cause when I first signed, like I wasn't eating breakfast or whatever. So they were telling me like, hey, you have to show up at this time. Make sure you eat this, so stuff like that. So, yeah. So at that time, I took it for granted. Now that I'm a little older and a little wiser, I would say, like I would have definitely did a lot of things much different for sure. So I think obviously on the football side, being with Tata, like he loves playing, and everything's like fast paced with him, lots of pressing. So when I went to the Omaha and the Des Moines, all that, it was much easier, and it felt like it slowed down a little bit more, so that it helped me in that way, like on the field. So
What has it been like for you here in the States to be in, and I'm going to go ahead and use air quotes and put a dollar in the jar, to be in these non-traditional soccer markets like a Memphis, like a Des Moines, like an Omaha, and you see how they respond to the sport? What's it been like for you to be in those kinds of places to see how the sport has grown since you've been a professional?
yeah, it's like a different world, Obviously, the USL, they're growing every year, and they're doing much, they're doing good stuff, and like the fans are bought in. Like for example, here the fans are amazing. They no, but it's definitely growing as a whole. Back when I first started, like the Memphis, like we didn't have lunch or anything. Like, yeah, they would make us like we would have to make our own breakfast, like the bagel and stuff like that. And we didn't have lunch, so we would have to eat at home. So, but now it's different, Now you get breakfast, you get lunch, and all that stuff. So it's amazing to see. And then now they're gonna have they were talking about the relegation. which I think that would be pretty cool, if it happens. So
what expectations do you have of yourself this year in Portland? Or is your expectation, hey, I want to just be a 90-minute guy and see where it goes from there? Do you have an idea as to what you want to accomplish in the 26th season at all?
Yeah, I wanna stay healthy. That's the most important thing for me. God willing, play the whole season. And like Bobby was telling me, like, I know I'm not gonna be a 90-minute guy right away, but no, I wanna work towards that. I definitely wanna work towards being the 90-minute. I wanna be reliable. Somebody like, the coach can, hey, we need you to play 90 minutes. I'm there. I wanna play freely, like my old self. I want to, dribble without a doubt, like without thinking about it. So no, I want to use this year to kind of get back to myself. And the most important thing for me is to stay healthy because this is a big injury and it's my first injury. So I don't know what I'm gonna be like as a player. Because as you guys know, like I love to dribble, I love 1v1, I love all that stuff. So I don't know if I have to shift my playing style yet. So no, but physically I feel good. When we're doing stuff outside, like I'm moving good. So yeah, so my biggest thing is just for the year is just stay healthy, be confident, and be reliable. So
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to see you in this next stage, in this next city. And I can't wait to see you I can't wait to see you in that lighthouse kit.
yeah, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I used to when I was on the national team, we wore that, but the US one.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. Well,
Have you ever been to Portland?
no, I have been to Boston, and that's about as north as I've been.
Okay. That's close. You should come out to a game.
Well, I mean, if we can get to do the morning show live and figure out how to do it, we'll certainly do that. But
Yes, sure.
yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what the vibe is like up there. I can't thank you enough for doing this, especially as you're getting ready to be the Lagos Kunga 2026. It's great to see you, my friend. Don't be a stranger. You can come and crash at any time.
No, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Lagos Kunga, great to catch up with him yesterday. Yesterday was crazy. Literally, you do a show and you're done. You got to tape something, then you got to run errands, and you got to come back, tape something else, then you're done, then you got to race up to River Ridge for River Ridge and Roswell. That started our high school season yesterday, and we get to kick that in with Creek Cup tomorrow. Creek Cup Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that's going to be on the network. So easiest thing to do when you want to listen to any of our live games, whether it's the twos or high school or anything like that, go to the website, soccerdownhere.net, and go to the listen tab, hit that, and you'll see SDH 1 and 2 and everything else that's up and running. And if we're live doing the morning show or any other events, you'll see that. If SDH 1 and 2 are up and running for live games, you'll see that. Like red light will be flashing. And it's like, yes, we're live. We're live. So you can do that when it comes to all the live stuff that we have. So Lagos Kunga is threatening us with Portland, Maine. It was great to catch up with him yesterday and find out what's going on. And hopefully, with this first injury behind him, he can have as solid a season under Bobby Murphy and experience P-Hop for what it is in USL League One. So it's great to catch up with Lagos here in hour number one. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the morning show. We got to catch up with Kurt Badenhausen at Sportico, and literally that was scratching the surface, and I know that it was. I just emailed Kurt during the interview with Lagos, and I said, we could have gone like forever. We could have gone probably an hour, and I said so in the interview, and I reinforced it when I emailed him to thank him for coming on short notice. And those evaluations that are there, we might dip back into that before we go, but we are going to catch up with Ronan Wynne. We taped that yesterday. We'll get into that. And also catching up with our friend Aaron Adams about NXT Soccer and the NXT Foundation. That's in hour number 2. So it's going to be a crazy day. Like I said, 4 guests, I think, is the most, short of and this reminds me, I've got to catch up with Apple TV and MLS Soccer. Short of the hours of chaos that we have promoting events in MLS season, which we are planning, by the way, next Friday. Next Friday, we are planning Hours of Chaos. See how many of our friends from Apple TV and Major League Soccer can join to talk about the season. And we'll put all of the predictions in a jar, and then we'll open it back up. Maybe All-Star break, maybe Decision Day. But what we're going to try to do with the Hours of Chaos and Major League Soccer is do that before MLS Cup, obviously, like we did. Before the playoffs, like we did. Maybe the All-Star break, and then definitely before season kickoff. So next Friday is the tentative plan for the Hours of Chaos with our friends of Apple TV, where our friends at the league office, they just tell people to show up. I don't know who's showing up and when. We just open the door. Somebody comes in and says hi. So that's going to be next Friday. We do have a little bit of this. Looks like the Super League is dead. Real Madrid and UEFA have reached an agreement to resolve their legal disputes related to the European Super League. UEFA with a statement. Following months of discussions conducted in the best interest of European football, UEFA, European football clubs, and Real Madrid CF announced they've reached an agreement of principles for the well-being of European club football, respecting the principle of sporting merit, with emphasis on long-term club sustainability and the enhancement of fan experience through the use of technology. That means I have no idea. It's very nebulous. Sentence. This agreement of principles will also serve to resolve their legal disputes related to the European Super League once such principles are executed and implemented. Real Madrid's official statement, once again, ESL project officially over. Agreement reached with UEFA and European football clubs. Super League legal disputes to be resolved. Commitment to sporting merit, club sustainability, fan experience. ESL project is officially over. Super League, we hardly knew you. So there you go. Reminders of all of that. So that's very, very, it's like all of this discussion that we had about the Super League will no longer be a discussion. The historic preliminary agreement as of about a half hour ago. So they've decided to join forces for the benefit of European football. And you have the beginning of the end of the legal battle. Definitive closure of the conflict subject to the implementation of a final contract between the parties. Club presided over by Florentino Perez seeks to ensure a stable future where competitiveness and innovation go hand in hand. Giant step toward modernizing football structures without abandoning the essence of competition. So that's from our friends at One Football. So Real Madrid and UEFA make peace. They're breaking bread, and the Super League has now been called off. So all of that stuff with the Super League is now just talk. If they had not, this probably could have worked. Instead of just surprising folks and sitting there and going, well, you know what, fam, we're just going to do it. And you just drop that pipe bomb in there of the European Super League and create all this chaos. If you'd gone about it and were incremental, maybe it could have worked. But instead, you wanted to sit there and say, we're doing it. Not so fast, my friend. I wish I had my Ticonderoga number 2 pencil. Then I could have done that. But you rushed it. And now Real Madrid is an agreement away from being back into the umbrella of enjoying European football as we all enjoy European football. Before we get into hour number 2, once again, reminder. Since this is season number 10 of us and season number 10 of Atlanta United, remember, over at soccerdownhere.net, our Atlanta United at 10 series, yesterday's look at defining homegrown moments, just 10 defining homegrown moments. It's not like a top 10, but we all got our heads together for these 10 topics this week and next. And we have 10 of this, 10 of this, 10 of this. Go to soccerdownhere.net, set your notifications for 4 o'clock, and the next one comes out. But this 24-hour cycle of 10 blank is the 10 defining homegrown moments that shape the club's identity. And just to give you an idea as to what those are, for those of you that haven't had the chance to dive over to the website and check on the handiwork of the four of us. So you've got 10 defining homegrown moments. And then we had 2 days ago, we had 10 defining goals. So 10 defining homegrown moments, just to give you an idea. I mean, like these are, 6-7 minute reads. We've got Jackson Conway's winner against Club America, George Bello a goal in 2018 in his second start, Caleb Wiley's sail to Chelsea, Jay Fortune's first MLS goal in Charlotte, George Campbell against Orlando, Tyler Wolff against Red Bulls to keep hope alive in 24, Machop Chol coming back to sign a homegrown deal, Matt Edwards getting his first team contract, Efren Morales getting minutes for Bolivia in World Cup qualifying, DCQ with his rapid rise, 10 moments. And also, if you missed the word yesterday, DCQ is out for the better part of a month, closer to 6 weeks, it looks like, with the injury that was sustained in the first matchup in the Torneo de Tejas. 4 to 6 weeks suffering an MCL sprain in the preseason match against Houston back on the 7th, which reminds me that now that we have the movement of the club, Spirit of 96, obviously, taking up most of my wallet. Boy, is it going to take up most of my wallet. Man, oh, man, oh, man. That's just, that's going to take up a lot of space. The first match, once again, was the 1-1 draw with Houston at Hell in a Shell back on Saturday. They face Red Bull today. Red Bull today in Frisco in the Torneo de Tejas. And I'm trying to see if there is any word one way or the other about any kind of streaming or any kind of release of the matchups themselves. Let's see, single stats. I'm looking on the FCD website and trying to see if in the news section, maybe we have something. News. North Texas, alone, theme nights. Let me see. So it's not there. I'm going to search for it, but once again, Atlanta United with the Torneo de Tejas taking on Red Bull today in the afternoon and then taking on FCD in Frisco to conclude the tournament on Saturday. So as of right now, haven't seen anything when it comes to any kind of a streaming component and whether or not it would be accessible or viewable for anyone, because this is a closed-door match. It is a closed-door match today when it comes to anyone that would want to see it in the first place. The one on Saturday is for season ticket holders that are attached to FC Dallas. That much we do know. But today, closed door, no one allowed in. And I'm trying to see, like I said, I'm buzzing through my emails trying to see if there's anything that was posted. And I don't see anything yet. But like I said, we'll check it and see if there's anything that is posted involving any kind of a stream of any kind of import whatsoever. Okay. Morning, David. I know, because like I said, we've got these 4 guests that we have, and I was trying to figure out, okay, can we squeeze them all in and still be okay? Morning, David. Morning, Ricky. Yeah, and yeah, it's like I said, that is good. Yeah, I'm with Ricky. I said I'm going to go so broke. Morning, Abby. Saw Maddie last night. Very cool, and definitely a smart play by Abby getting the additional youth medium for autographs and such. Prepare your framing appropriately. So very, very cool. And morning, Pars. Wiley is going to skip. And Pars is like, yeah, it feels more like the Olympics than the World Cup. But, I mean, it is an homage to the Olympics. I mean, 30 years ago, which is crazy to think about. It is an homage to 30 years since the Olympics were here, and the French fry packet was the top of the torch. Let's see. Abby would love to have someone from MLS who does scheduling. Why is it every year first match away? Then the decision day match is also away. Goes the same if the start of the season is home, and then decision day is home. Why can't they alternate? Don't know. I really don't. David says that Portland, Maine, truly a great food town, lots to do. I've never been. Like I said, I've never been. And like I said, I've been to Boston and I've been to Providence. And that's about as north as it gets for me. So that is kind of that's where my math is. I will continue searching this morning to see if there's anything going on in the atmosphere for Atlanta United and a stream of any variety when it comes to the matchup that's there. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we catch up with our friend Aaron Adams and find out what's going on at NXT Soccer. Very, very cool initiative that he has started, not out of his early 20s, and he's already starting to do some really cool things. Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White might be heading for the exit. Villa view him as an excellent fit. Harry Maguire looks increasingly likely to sign a new deal with Manchester United. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Real Madrid looking for a center back. Christian Romero has emerged as a target. Just don't make him a captain. 27-year-old Argentine linked with Barca and Atletico de Madrid. Al Ittihad want to sign Mo Salah, and he's open to the move. Foot Mercato in France. Bayern Munich have started talks with Harry Kane over a new contract, confident he'll re-sign. Liverpool are the front of the line, trying to get Bournemouth's 19-year-old French forward Eli Junior Krupi. Leeds plotting a £30 million summer move for English keeper James Trafford from City. Brighton accepted an offer from Forest in January for Lewis Dunk, but he wanted to stay. Palace may lower their valuation of Jean-Philippe Mateta in the summer from £30 million. United showing interest. United and Chelsea considering a move for Tromso's 19-year-old Gambian defender Abubakar Sedi Kinte. That's also from the 4-letter paper. Juve and other Serie A clubs would struggle to meet the salary of Newcastle Sandro Tonali. Interest also from Manchester United and Arsenal. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Now, we already did that. What am I saying? The other gossip, rumor, and innuendo that we can catch up with from our friends Tommy Scoops and Ben Jacobs. Domestically, and seeing what it looks like. Who am I missing? Okay, so once again, we mentioned De Zerbi and Marseille parting ways with immediate effect. And so we'll see what happens there. Sporting in advanced talks to sign winger Kapita Kapemba from Radomiak Radom. And that being in the Polish leagues, our friend Tomasz Lodarczyk, first in line with that one. Fee is around $2 million. Kapita had 5+1 in 1,000 minutes so far this season with the Polish club. And let's see. Vegas Lights finalizing a deal to sign midfielder Carson Locker, who was with the FC Cincinnati Academy, previously with St. Louis City. 39 apps for second teams. He was with St. Louis City 2 and FC Cincinnati 2, heading to USL Championship. Lusk has officially signed YNT forward Peyton Presson. 18, he was with the Messi and Friends Academy before heading to Europe, previously with the Union Academy as well. Crew, we didn't get to talk about this one. Crew finalizing a deal to sign Azerbaijan international attacker Nariman Akhundzada from Karabag. He'd be a U22, 13 caps for country, 24 and 10 in his career in league play. And we got into the notes on Jonathan Perez yesterday. $3 million, good piece of business for hanging on to somebody for less than 9 months. Got him for $1.5 million, flipped him for $3 million, sending him from Nashville to Chivas. And the words there with him on that one. So what does Nashville do? We'll catch up with our friend Lucas Panzica. Maybe we'll get some answers before kickoff of the 26th season. Let's see. The Mauricio Pochettino bit. We know about that. He's not going to move until after the World Cup. So anybody discussing anything about Mauricio Pochettino, it's not leaving immediately. So that's put that to bed right now. So fairly quiet on the European front. Jack Grealish confirms his season's over after undergoing surgery on a foot stress fracture, and those are never good. All right, next interview up here in hour number 2. It's from our friends at NXT Soccer, and it is catching up with our friend Aaron Adams. And Aaron like I said, Aaron's not even 23, 24 years old, and he's doing some really cool things. And so it's a chance for us to catch up with Aaron and introduce NXT Soccer and the NXT Soccer Foundation to you. Here's our conversation with Aaron Adams about what's going on at NXT. And I'm not talking about Joe Hendry. NXT Soccer. Here's our conversation. So, Aaron, a lot of folks want to know in situations like this why you started what you started at NXT Soccer. So, break into the why for me and let me know why you wanted to do this in the first place.
Yeah, John, I started coaching soccer as soon as I graduated high school, really. So at 18, I had started doing some private training on the side. I actually had a cousin down in Dublin, Georgia, so South Georgia, Middle Georgia, who I was training with him, and I was down there in Dublin, and I realized that there's actually quite a bit of talent down in South Georgia that we don't get to see up here in the Atlanta area. And I realized I could provide a service to every club across the Southeast in those more.
And this is what happens when you try to add stuff on the fly. I'm going to duck out again and actually cue it up properly. So now I have found the ways of not doing things, and this is apparently one of those ways of not doing things. So let's go ahead and kick back in with Aaron, shall we? So, Aaron, a lot of folks want to know in situations like this why you started what you started at NXT Soccer. So break into the why for me and let me know why you wanted to do this in the first place.
Yeah, John, I started coaching soccer as soon as I graduated high school, really. So at 18, I had started doing some private training on the side. I actually had a cousin down in Dublin, Georgia, so South Georgia, Middle Georgia, who I was training with him, and I was down there in Dublin, and I realized that there's actually quite a bit of talent down in South Georgia that we don't get to see up here in the Atlanta area. And I realized I could provide a service to every club across the Southeast in those more rural areas that they don't get here, and provide a pathway to professional academies through our programming.
All right. So, when you look at, for those that look at the sport, and I know that we do on a daily basis, when you get into the high school aspect of it, there are a lot of hidden gems and programs in and around the state. I mean, you go down I-16 and you can go to a place like Vidalia where they've had tremendous success in their girls program. Dublin, you mentioned there with what's going on in Lawrence County. You work your way further down with what we're seeing in Bullock County with Tormenta and Statesboro and all of that. And you go down to the end of it and you're looking at islands and everything that's going on down there in Savannah, just in that I-16 corridor. What's it been like for you to see where the game, I guess, where has the game come from along I-16 in your time, and where do you think it is now?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been too familiar with I-16 until the past few years when we've been working with Legion FC down there. But our camp in Dublin this past summer, we pulled from 7 different counties along the I-16 corridor. So we had players really from Vidalia, from all those places down there that were coming to our camp. So we were able to see the talent there, and it's really growing. I coach at King's Academy, and we, in the playoffs last year, played against Bullock Academy. Before that, I couldn't have told you where it was. After that, I mean, they brought the game to us. We lost. So the game has been growing a lot, especially like you mentioned, Tormenta. They're doing a great job with their academy and really growing the game down there in South Georgia out towards Savannah. And it's been great to see.
Now, when you want to do something like this, and I mean, it's really cool for us to discover the idea and reinforce the idea that you might be far away from somebody, but just because you're far away in a distance perspective, there's probably more alike than you would imagine. For you to be able to share those kinds of stories, I think it's really cool. And it's a great reminder that, Bullock Academy is, look, there's more in common with Bullock Academy than there are probably folks in Northwest Georgia with programs that are dominant there and what you're doing at Kings. When you get to the chance to go to all of these camps, how close is everyone to being like everyone else that you get the opportunity to share?
Yeah, I think every club is really similar that we work with. This coming summer, we're down in Thomasville, Harris County, Dublin. We'll be here in Woodstock, where we're based, as well as in Alabama and South Carolina. And what we see is that most clubs are operating in a pretty similar thing. They've been growing and growing and growing as the sport continues to grow, adding more and more players, and really aligning themselves, especially with SCCL, adding more and more clubs across youth soccer. We've been getting to see these clubs grow, add better and better coaching, more better methods. And just really what I've seen from, even though Thomasville, is 5 hours from where I am, they're playing the same style of football, and they're getting better and better as the years go on.
Yeah, and it's when you look at, say, single A, double A in the GHSA perspective, and you get to see what's going on down in South Georgia, you're seeing the growth there. You mentioned Harris County with what's going on in Hamilton, Troop, LaGrange, Columbus High over there in the Western Frontier, as we call it. You're seeing that there. When you came up with this idea, you look on your roster page,
right?
And there's a lot of folks there that a lot of us can gravitate toward. You're looking at Dylan Griner, Matthew DeJaney, Nash Skoglund, Daley Friedman when it comes to coaching, Caleb Weekly when it comes to training, Lily in coaching, Mason Peacock, Luke. I mean, how did you come up with this roster? Was it just hitting the Rolodex and going, "Hey, do you want to be a part of something?" Was there any convincing that had to go on? Did you have to meals or everything? What was it like assembling this roster?
I was fortunate enough to work for the Atlanta United Academy as the Academy Learning Specialist for 2 years. So I was able to build relationships with all the coaches who played within the Academy prior to going off to Dylan's at Kentucky. Nash recently transferred to Coastal Carolina. Matthew's still at South Carolina. Mason, who's committed to Furman. Luke, who's at Furman, scored in that College Cup semifinal. So it wasn't too much convincing because I already knew them, fortunately. But we treat them well. Get them a new pair of boots, and they're happy to help.
And when you get to, do you have Zoom calls with all of them to figure out, okay, here's what game plan is? What's the feedback loop like when it comes to all of these different folks?
Yeah, so I'll go through at the end of this month actually and schedule all of them for each camp that they're going to be doing. So once we get all of our partnerships sorted, I'll send out an email to them. Here's your schedule for the summer. Here's what we're going to be doing. Then we'll hop on a Zoom call since they're all, spread out across the Southeast with all these schools. Well, we'll go over, okay, for this camp, here's what we're going to be doing, because we don't run the same camp for every club. We work with the club. How do you guys play? Are you more possession style? Because we want to create in our training sessions kind of how they're going to want to play in the season. So we'll create a different camp plan for every single partnership. So then we'll hop on a Zoom call with all the coaches. We'll talk about what we're going to do, how we want to do it, how everything will go, and we'll get that sorted plenty ahead of time.
Is it easy to assemble all of these different puzzle pieces? It's like, well, if at this camp I've got to do it this way, if they're 4-3-3, if they're possession based, if somebody's over here and they're doing Red Bulls press, if someone is like Sean Dyche and they're pragmatic and they want to just put 13 behind the ball. Is it easy to lock in all these different ideas, or how much of a challenge is it for you and the group to sit there and cater to each individual situation?
Right. It's definitely not easy, but we do find that it helps them out a lot more. We're not going to be a one-size-fits-all program. I don't think that's how camp should operate, because we want to create those in-game moments and reinforce what the club is teaching them throughout the year when we're in their summer. But yeah, it's definitely not easy, especially because it's just me usually coming up with the programming and then teaching the coaches what we want to do. So I spend a lot of time throughout these 6 months leading up to the camps. But yeah, it's definitely not an easy task.
All right. So you open this door. Let me ask about it. I mean, how much time do you think you invest in prep so you're ready for camp, so you're ready for feedback, so you're ready for more prep, so you're ready for more camp?
So I'm probably coaching, like hands-on coaching at Kings Academy. I'm there 4 nights a week from about 3:30 to 10 p.m.
Wow.
So that's, almost 30 hours a week there. And then I probably play at least January and February is not as bad. It's probably 15, 20 hours max. As we get closer and closer and closer, May is going to be in 50 hours a week. And then when we're actually at camp, it's probably 80 hours a week. So, and then we're doing the feedback. August, slows back down as we're just re-upping for the next year. And then I get a few months off when I'm just at club 2 nights a week. So
I was going to say, what's it like cramming for this test?
You don't want to know, John. It's busy.
How busy is it?
I mean, the amount of hours I have to put in when I come back from Kings Academy every night, it gets up there. But try to get in bed by 12. up the next morning to get some work in before I'm off to practice. So
how has the game evolved in just the short time that you've wanted to do this with NXT? How much changing on the fly have you had to do when it comes to all of your prep?
lots, because the clubs they change what they're doing. Every club being different. We've added more and more clubs. I mean, just 2 years ago we were working with 15 athletes for the year. This year will be almost 1,000 athletes probably over the summer.
Wow.
So as you can imagine, for me that's been a big change. Growing that quickly makes it a little bit difficult. But then actually the training sessions and how they're improving. Every club is getting more and more into it. We're with Pike County this summer, who's partnered with Everton recently. So then they're changing their approach. So just like that, it's been changing a lot. And then obviously adding a lot of hours to my plate, just the more clubs we add.
So, all right. So Osteen has partnered with Everton and they're so is his keeper like learning from from Pickford here, Jordan Pickford? I mean, how is this working, man?
I don't know. I just know when I went down to Pike County this summer, they said, yeah, we recently just partnered with Everton. So they're kind of changing their approach.
Wow.
To work with them a little bit more, which I didn't even know Everton. They're technically like an international academy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know Everton had those here in Georgia, but yeah, Pike County and Pike Fury FC's partnered with Everton. So
crazy. Aaron Adams hanging out with us at NXT Soccer, and your time with Atlanta United. What did that teach you about doing all this stuff?
So much. I was fortunate enough. Steve Covino in the academy was kind enough to invite me out to be almost like an assistant coach for him a lot for MLS Next games. And then also when he took over the UPSL team for playoffs, he had me there. So I was able to sit behind him, and Javier Perez still has me out to training sessions once a week. So I'm there taking notes, learning from Coach Steve Turek, learning from Jose Silva at the twos, just really taking in as much as I possibly can on Thursday mornings so that I can continue to, I'm 21 years old and got 10 coaches working for me, so developing them, but I still have a lot of work to develop. So been fortunate enough to learn a lot in those 2 years and still get to the opportunity to learn.
All right. So what have you learned from Jose?
Jose, he runs a tight ship over there at the twos. I'm sure you've been out to training, I'm sure. Even when Steve Cook was coaching, he was out there. He was on those kids. Obviously, I know Cooper Sanchez really well, Aiden, Ashton, Jono. So I hear a lot from them about what they're seeing from him and what they're learning. But yeah, he's taught me a lot just in how to run a training session, how to demand the highest intensity possible.
When you look at your own expectations, and when we start businesses, we're always our own worst critics. We always are. Is there something that you were hypercritical about to start that you've kind of dialed back from and learned from that itself? Or are you still giving yourself 30 seconds in the car to sit there and go, I wish I'd done A, B, C, D, and E, and then doing it, then you just dust yourself off and do it again tomorrow? How much in this, all of this learning, have you kind of learned about yourself in all this?
Definitely, I'm still very hypercritical, especially as we continue to grow and grow and grow. I feel like you have to be, because you're not going to grow if you're not going to be critical about yourself. I mean, we changed a lot just from last year, timing wise. I mean, every single training session we're going to have we got a coaches meeting before the session to go over what we're going to do, and then we're going to have a coaches meeting after. Okay, what went well? What do we need to work on for tomorrow? What can we do better? And we're going to be continuing to do that the whole time. I can't think of much that I've laid off of, to be honest, from last year to now, but we'll see.
All right. What was the biggest lesson you learned about last year that you've carried forward to this year?
It's too hot in Middle Georgia. We learned we were training at 3 p.m. in Dublin.
Whoa.
So we've had to change that up. So we'll be going 6 to 9:30 p.m. This summer. But
all right.
Yeah.
Are you at Shamrock Bowl? Is Roger letting you go there, or where are you doing it?
In Dublin, we're at Southern Pines Regional Park, so we're hopeful to maybe they just built down there in Lawrence County an indoor facility, so maybe we'll be able to do part of our sessions in there, part of them out, but we'll have to see.
Okay. Do you have a grand 5-year plan? Is that on a dry erase board off to the side someplace that I can't see at the moment, the way how you want things to grow and evolve?
It's not on our dry erase board, but I can tell you, we're working to start the NXT Foundation, which you can see on my shirt there. But that operates as we want to have at least like 12 free clinics a year. So right now we have, I think, 4 free sessions coming up here in Woodstock, and then we have a free clinic down in Dublin. But adding more community clinics, especially in those rural areas, just to kind of grow the game, create access. Because one of my main mission points here at NXT is we need more access, and it shouldn't matter what zip code you come from. You should have the same opportunity that somebody from Atlanta has. Yeah. So in 5 years, we don't want to be the biggest training company. That's not our goal, but we want to be one that's providing opportunity and access to players who don't normally have it.
When you go to places like Hamilton and Thomasville and Dublin, what is the initial response when they pick up the phone? Is it why, or is it thank you for calling? We've really got something going on. What's the initial response when you go into these underserved areas?
Right. It's usually like our why behind it. Like, why would you want to come here? Why are you wanting to come here? Obviously, there's a lot of other camps that are calling them. But they want to find out why we want to help them and what we can do. What are we providing that's different than, say, like a Brazilian soccer camp? That seems to be the main question, and how we can also help provide opportunity. So as you might know, like, we are working with the Atlanta United Academy, that when we have these camps, we almost operate as like RDS for the South. So we are recommending players towards the academy that we then work with Javier, and we work with the scouting staff with the academy to bring in players from these underserved areas.
And you mentioned a really important word, and I think that not a lot of folks get to experience it a lot. It's that 4-letter word that starts with the letter F, free. A lot of folks operate under P&L sheets. They operate. It's like, okay, we've got to make this particular marker. What was it for you? What was the genesis of the idea of doing these free learning sessions?
The real reason is we want to be able to provide access to players who don't normally have access, whether you have, the money to pay for it or not. We want to be able to give you every opportunity and equal opportunity to play as somebody who has the money. So I think last year in Dublin, we had, 80 athletes at our elite camp and about 40 at our skills camp, which is for more rec players, younger players. We were able to give out almost $6,000 in scholarships to that camp. And that's a point we want to try to hit this year. So when we look at P&Ls and stuff, we're not looking at, can we hit, say $100,000 in revenue? We're looking at, can we give out $15,000 in scholarships is what we're looking at.
So do you have angels off to the side that help you out in that, or is this all just elbow grease and making sure that that those kinds of things can happen?
This is just elbow grease, making sure it'll happen. We're hopeful with the NXT Foundation that'll allow us to run more camps and give out more scholarships. But last year, it's just giving out services for free. As long as we break even, we're happy. So,
all right. Well, then lay it all out for me. For folks that need to find out more information about what's going on, how do they do it? What's the easiest way to do it? And when do things kick back in for real?
I think the easiest way would probably be following us on Instagram. So that's just at NXT Soccer. Also check out our website, which is nxtsoccer.com. And then we're back into gear. We already ran one camp this year. We were with West Lawrence High School at the end of last month. So working with them down in Dublin as well. And then we are back. I think our first camp this year will be June 8th to 12th in Harris County. And then we've got 4 or 5 other camps that hopefully will be announced within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So all of those should be available soon.
And as always, thanks for letting us know about this. And it's great that you get to be this unifier of communities when it comes to those that want to learn the sport. One more question before I send you to lunch and you can go the rest of your day and sit there nose to the grindstone. When you go into these underserved markets, when you go to a Dublin, when you go to a Hamilton, when you go to a Thomasville, and you see the light come on for a young athlete that might not have had opportunities until NXT walked in the door, what's that like, and what's that feedback like?
It's extremely rewarding for me, at least, to see somebody like that. The feedback is typically good. I think at this free clinic, we're going to have quite a few players who are, especially in Dublin in March is when our free clinic is. We should have quite a few players who have either never played soccer before or never had an experience like NXT soccer before. They're just have the rec soccer, whatever. We want to be able to provide that higher level experience that they have yet to have. And when we see that light come on, it's extremely rewarding for us because we know if we have an impact on one player, then we've been successful.
There you go. As always, great to see you, Aaron. Thanks for dropping by the morning show, and we can't wait to see you continue to grow things at NXT. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks, John.
Aaron Adams in NXT Soccer. That was very cool. And to be able to share those kinds of things, remember, go to nxtsoccer.com and follow them on Instagram. And that is probably the best way to keep up with them and all the information that's there, and make sure that you can keep up with everything that's theirs all the time. So nxtsoccer.com and keeping up with everything there. Aaron Adams, he is an assistant coach. He mentioned his time at Kings Academy. He's an assistant coach on the boys and the girls side. So he is what we refer to as a very busy man. So he's a very, very busy man these days. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that continues to grow. All right. Final half hour of the show. And we do have an interview with Ronan Wynne that I have to pull in from the archive. And so I'm going to try and figure out how to do that on the fly. I do want to get into the numbers from the Sportico study. And Eben Novi-Williams was nice enough to post the whole thing. And so we can get into that as we go. And just to, once again, we'll let you know what's going on with the day in and of itself. And let's see. So we mentioned Thomas Frank. We mentioned the Super League. We mentioned De Zerbi. And let's see. We've mentioned Fabian Hertzler. He's been pretty much heckled by the Ultras, and time's running out on him when it comes to his time at Brighton. And I'm trying to see. We mentioned the EFL clubs voting on expanding the championship playoffs to 6. So it would be 1 through 8. First 2 go in. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 would be the ones to go forward if that vote passes. So we got to keep an eye out on that as we go here with the EFL championship. And like I said, I'm cruising the papers and trying to see if there's any stories that I've missed. Once again, it's going to be a busy day in the Premier League with all the matches, once again, getting ready for the midweek because it's an FA Cup weekend, and you'll be able to focus on the FA Cup. And reminder, picks of the week have been made. I think I've got to post them to the Discord, or at least find something to get them to the Discord. And it started last night with San Diego. So I will try and post them as quickly as possible after we're done this morning. Remember, also at noon, it is the return of the Red Clay lunch, Red Clay Soccer Report. Red Clay Wednesday is hanging out with you, and it's going to be, let's see, what's our rundown? It's going to be Tyler Mayer from Lake Oconee Academy, batting leadoff. We're going to tape with Jason Page at Walton, and we're going to have Jeremy Still, Tallulah Falls, and Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek, getting everything ready for Creek Cup. So that's your rundown of Red Clay Wednesday, the Red Clay Soccer Report powered by our friends at Nofo Brewing. Getting into the high school game, getting you ready for everything there, and getting us ready for Creek Cup. Once again, remember last night was our debut for season 4, I think, for GHSA Soccer, and it was the Roswell and River Ridge doubleheader. Roswell girls won. The defending champs won 4-0. I think the last time that the Roswell defense gave up a goal was 1974, and they're going to try and repeat here in 25-26. And on the flip side, a 3-1 win for River Ridge's boys. So the defending champs in their classifications won their matches. It was pressure early on by Roswell's girls, and Todd Gisbert, friend of the network, is coaching the girls. He gets to coach his daughter Zadie and be a part of things at River Ridge. He was started late last year. He's coached starting off from the beginning this year. And so River Ridge gave up a couple goals early, kind of settled into the game, and it was a 4-0 win for Roswell. They continue their winning ways. And River Ridge boys were actually down 1-0 to Roswell in the second half, and then they scored a couple of goals 5 minutes apart, and then scored a banger. Bennett Van Gilder scored from like 23 just outside the arc and made it 3-1, and that was the final there. So River Ridge's boys and Phil Thomas, they get the Duke there, and it was Mary Deasing and the girls getting the win on the girls' side. Creek Cup. I can't say it enough. It's going to be once, and thanks to our friends at Johns Creek and Northview for letting us come and hang out and and crash the party. All the games are going to be broadcast, SDH 1 and 2. Go to soccerdownhere.net, go to the Listen tab, hit the Listen tab. When you see the flashing red light going on, that means that channel's up and running, whether it's us here on the morning show, whether it's SDH 1 with a live game, SDH 2 with a live game. That's what you're staring at with us in Creek Cup. And so it's going to be wall-to-wall. Jason and Maddie anchoring coverage from Johns Creek. I'm anchoring the coverage from Northview. And we will have all of the chaos for you Thursday, Friday, Saturday on the network. And I think we're all going to sleep in on Sunday. So, all right, let me see if I can do the impossible here and add the Ronan Wynne interview. And I'll break it down for you this way. Yesterday, here's what happened with Ronan, and I had to do two things at once. And it was an opportunity to catch up with him at 6 o'clock our time, which was noon in New Zealand. It was noon in New Zealand. And so that was how this ended up happening. And here's the interview once it loads with Ronan Wynne and his new gig at Auckland FC in the OFC Pro League and what it's like for him to be home. That's probably the biggest aspect of this. And we go into that, and there's a bit of the interview in and of itself after the fact that, after the interview was over, we had a bit of a conversation. I don't think I'm violating a confidence, really, when it comes to Ronan and what we talked about. But it was fun for me off of a hotspot and a phone to be able to catch up with Ronan and find out what's the latest with Ronan Wynne. It was me in the backseat of a car, hotspot off a cell phone, talking into a laptop to do this interview with Ronan. And you'll see the end results. And once again, we always talk about angles. And definitely you're going to find out about angles with me in this interview. But like I said, I was in the back seat of the Subaru catching up with Ronan while Drew Dickinson was calling the girls' match with Roswell and River Ridge. Literally, he's on the air. I made sure that everything was there. John and technology, as Abby says. And you end up with this. Ronan, a lot of folks, when they saw that you had signed on for this new aspect of your life when it came to Atlanta United 2 and what happened last year, a lot of folks in the Southeast were wondering how the move is going. So I'll ask, how's the move going?
It's been good, honestly. It's nice to be home, definitely. After being away for 5 years, I think, being close to my friends from home, my family, and then also playing with some guys that I'm, familiar playing with has been really good, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
How did this come about? Was it phone call, FedEx, WhatsApp, carrier pigeon? Did someone knock on your door? How did this come to pass?
I think it was a bit of he says, she says, because I did know this league was, kicking off, and I think my college agency, the guys that got me to college, kind of reminded me of the situation, and then I got in touch with some other New Zealand coaches, the Auckland FC coaches, and then they kind of just went from there. It was pretty simple from then on.
So what has the experience been like? Obviously, you mentioned the idea of being back home, close to home, playing with mates. What has this been like being a part of something from the ground up?
And that's pretty cool, honestly. I don't think I've really been in a situation like this before, where we are the very first, team of this nature in this league. So it's definitely exciting. And I mean, the format as well. I've never been in anything like this before either. So definitely enjoyed it. It's kept me on my toes, but it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm ready for the rest of it.
All right. So it's kept you on your toes. How so?
I just think I came from, college I kind of had my spot cemented, and everyone was familiar with where I was playing. And then I guess last year was also a little bit different, where I came in and I was very new. Same with this time. So I came in a little bit late into preseason. So the coach, had players in spots, and he kind of was familiar with everyone. So I've been, one of the newer players, one of the newest players that came in. I kind of had to prove myself, and I'm still in the process of doing that.
Okay, so you mentioned trying to prove yourself all over again. What have you needed to work on so far in this sprint to get a season going? And now the hub system where you're playing 3 in 10 days and all the chaos that's attached to that. What do you think you've needed to work on the most, you think?
I think not getting caught up in who's starting, who's not, who's going to be playing, because there's 3 games in a week. It's literally about taking your opportunity when it comes, and sometimes you won't play, and that happens to everyone. Some people are going to be injured. Some people are going to start the first game and not start the second one. So it's just being ready when you're called upon, and not letting setbacks or not starting get you down, basically.
You mentioned, obviously, this is kind of cool being a part of something from the ground up. Have you ever been in a situation similar to this before, where you're just jumping into the deep end with something and trying to be a part of the foundation of something, or is this the first time for this kind of a thing?
I think it's the first time. Nothing really springs to mind. This is like, we even had a meeting about what our team vision is, because we're the first. So yeah, first time.
All right. So then what is the team vision when you're on the vision board and you're building that vision?
Yeah.
What is the team vision, and what did you guys settle on? How much of a discussion was there with this room of chairs or long rectangular tables where folks are, having discussions and throwing pencils at each other? What was that discussion like?
Yeah. It was actually a couple hours. I think it was about 2 hours long, and we had everyone in the team sitting, and we had a guy at the club, Hamish, who was kind of walking us through the whole process, and the A-League team did it too. So we kind of had an outline. We talked about a whole lot of different things, and then brought the best ideas together and created our vision and what we want to be, and who we want to represent, why we're doing what we're doing, and it kind of all came together.
All right. So for those of us that weren't in that meeting, what was the vision that came together? What were those points that you guys are hanging on to as tent poles this year?
It was being relentless was one of them. So in any situation, just keep going, keep pushing, being consistent. So like I said before, coming in every day with the same attitude, giving it your all, creating a legacy. Creating something that we can look back on and be proud of, and all the teams after us can kind of look at and say, oh, they did it, we should follow suit. Yeah, and obviously winning the very first OFC Pro League, that's the ultimate goal for all of us.
Who on the roster are your mates? Who are the guys that you get to reunite and play with?
Well, my roommate Zach I played with at Western Springs. I think I played against Reed. I played against Emmy. I've played against Aiden Carey. I played Lobo, Matt Ellis. I played with and against Matt Ellis when I was 10 years old. Yeah, and there's a few more as well, but I think at least half of the team I've played with or against.
For those of us that are in the footprint with the twos here in the southeastern United States, what will you take away from that experience that will help you in this building from the ground up, being a part of something where you're the foundation for a league that's going to last forever? You're first in the door. What will you remember about your twos experience that will help you going forward, you think?
I think that there's always something to prove. I think this is kind of similar in the fact that this is not the top team at the club. So like I said, if you're starting, if you're not starting, if you're training, like last year, training with the first team, you always have something to prove, and there's always another level to go to. I think a lot of those guys in the twos team, you see them now, they've kind of stepped up. Cooper, Dom, they're all first team players now. And those guys, especially being so young, you've always got something to prove, and this is no different. So I think, being in that was an unbelievable environment, especially, you know, with those first team players. You have to keep pushing, and eventually, or hopefully, you'll reach where you want to be.
Do you view yourself, to the younger players that are a part of this roster, do you view yourself as a role model in any way, either to those younger players that are there with you or to the fans that are coming into this or the community? Do you view yourself as a role model on any level?
I mean, I try to be. You know, there's leaders on the team, and I try to maybe not say as much, but lead by example, you know, whether it's in the gym or if it's helping pack up the gear or if it's, you know, getting on top of everyone, even myself, when things aren't good enough. You know, I had that last year where I was one of the older players. So I try to take the experience that I have, you know, overseas, which a lot, or some of these players don't have, and bring that into this team.
All right. So so where you're in which hub now? Where are you as we're talking?
So we're home now. We've got a
Okay.
week in Auckland before we go to Melbourne, Australia.
All right. So what hubs have you been to so far?
It's only been, the first one was here in Auckland,
Okay.
and then we were just in Papua New Guinea.
So what was it like in Papua New Guinea for that second go round?
It was, I mean, for a lot of us, it was our first time being there, and it was a very unique experience. It was very cool, though. I think we didn't really know what to expect. We didn't get to see much. We weren't allowed to, you know, go out on our own and stuff. So when we did, you know, we went to the mall and stuff, and we did see the people. They were very kind. They loved us. And the hotel was great. They looked after us. The fans were into the football. So yeah, it was a good experience, and it was really, really, really hot. So yeah, like the South.
Okay, just checking. I just wanted to see what it's looking like. All right, so next match for you is when?
We play on, what's today? I think we play on
It's the 11th,
21st or 20th.
Oh, so you got
21st.
South Melbourne next, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's listed as the 20th here, so it's probably the 21st for you. I mean, it kind of gives you a couple of days, more than a couple of days, gives you a week to kind of get settled in after going to Papua New Guinea and coming back. And obviously, you know, when you look at the standings and how things are, top of the ladder. I mean, look, you know, 5 wins in your first 6, and you're 4 points clear of South Melbourne. You know, when you look at what you guys have been able to do with the hub system, going all over the place, going out, coming back, all this compression, how would you analyze what you guys have been able to accomplish so far?
I mean, I think people may have expected us to be doing really well, but I think everyone has kind of played their part in this. It's definitely not easy, you know, going, like, we just went away for 12 days, away from friends and family and stuff. People not getting their way, people getting injured. It's not an easy thing. So I think that, you know, the depth that we have, especially in terms of, you know, the football aspect, is a huge thing. We were able to rotate a lot, and that's credit to, you know, the coaching staff and the club for bringing in players that, you know their roles and can play their roles in the system. So I think that's something we're going to rely on as well, playing games in such quick succession. So yeah.
OFC Pro League, Auckland FC. Get to catch up with Ronan Wynne. Ronan, it's great to see you. Obviously, it was great to have you as a part of things here in the SDH footprint last year. Great to see you down there. Good to see you back home, playing with mates and being a part of something very, very special. Thanks for dropping by the morning show, and enjoy the week where you get to kind of just catch your breath a little bit before you end up with the next matchup. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Ronan Wynne. So literally, he was in Auckland, New Zealand when we were doing that. So yeah, last night about 6 o'clock, I was in the back seat of the Subaru dialing up Ronan Wynne at the stadium where they were practicing. It was noon then when we were taping. So my guess is he had just finished practice and had showered, and he was getting ready for the rest of his day. Initially, when he was given this media appearance, he thought it was a local. He thought initially that when he just saw it, it's just like, okay, I've got another local appearance that I have to do. It surprised him a little bit. You might have noticed it off the top when he saw that it was an SDH appearance back in Atlanta. So, no, it was fun to catch up with Ronan. Glad that we were able to do that. And they got a week where they can kind of catch their breath a little bit. So, Auckland at the top of the charts in the OFC Pro League, and obviously our coverage is going to continue there. It's been great to catch up with William Cardona, find out what it's like for the Virginia Tech grad to be playing in his first professional gig in Vanuatu. Great to catch up with Auckland, find out what's going on in South Island United with all of their characters and everybody that you're getting to learn about there. And it's been we can't thank the league and the Confederation enough for helping us out with stories, and whether it's promoting the league, OFC Pro League, or the Champions League, or what have you. We do have some stories coming in from that involve us going to Oklahoma to find out what's going on there. So how does Oklahoma tie with a club and that just finished playing in the Champions League bracket in Samoa? We got that conversation that we're trying to pin down a time, and we can have those kinds of things where we can talk about that one as well. But that was Ronan Wynne after practice, and that was me in a car on a laptop off a hotspot talking to Auckland, New Zealand. So there you go. That was how that one was orchestrated yesterday. So it was great to catch up with Kurt Badenhausen and find out what's going on at Sportico, Lagos Kunga, and Aaron Adams, Ronan Wynne. 4 guests today. Very, very cool stuff. Tomorrow, the power hours from 10 to 11. And at 11 o'clock, we're going to go out west and catch up with the Northern Super League. One of the VPs, Kelly Schultes, is going to be dropping by. We're going to find out now that Season 1 is in the barn. Season 2 schedule has been released. We're going to go long tomorrow, and we're going to find out what's going on with the Northern Super League. That's at 11 o'clock Eastern time here on the morning show. Okay, going through the rest of the papers and seeing if there's anything that I might have missed news-wise. Like I said, the biggest news, Thomas Frank out, Roberto De Zerbi out, and just talk to Jarrett, find out what Jarrett's thoughts are on De Zerbi and what it's like for Marseille after getting thumped 5-0, to find out what it's like for them. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that might have been missed. I think we're in decent shape. So Women's Champions League, and that's coming up in a bit. And then you have the 2:30s. You've got the 4 matches in the Premier League at 2:30. Then you have Scotland. You've got the Championship. You've got League 2. You've got Scotland on once again in the Premiership, League 2, and Sunderland and Liverpool is at 3:15 Eastern time to wrap up the day. Not wrapping up the match week, considering that Arsenal is at the G-Tech at 3 o'clock tomorrow to catch up with Brentford. Once again, remember, it is the first Red Clay Soccer Report powered by our friends at Nofo Brewing at noon, and that is where we start catching up with high school coaches around the state with our high school kickoff starting last night. Reminder once again, Tyler Merrill, Lake Oconee Academy. We're catching up with Jason Page from Walton. We're catching up with Jeremy Still from Tallulah Falls and Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek. That's the rundown from 12 to 1. And then from there, we get to catch our breath for a couple hours, send out some emails, and get you ready for tomorrow. Once again, Nico, Kelly Schultes from the Northern Super League, the NSL. Find out about women's professional soccer in Canada and how first season was there for the NSL as they get ready for year number 2. And then Friday, we get you ready for the weekend, Creek Cup going on through all of that. And we've got Champions Cup that we got to keep an eye on as well for the next couple of days. Let me get the juice boxes. I knew there was something I had forgotten. Juice boxes for the Triple C tonight. And there it is. Okay, so what did they list it as? North America? I think they listed it as North and Central America. So, yeah. So Champions Cup tonight. Juice boxes, Club America and Olimpia. And the first leg, once again, Club America with the goal at the death. Get the 2-1 win. Favored in the match, and then therefore favored in the 2-legged opening rounder. Once again, they were minus 455 to win tonight. Monterrey and Selejeu. Selejeu, once again, had the early goal, and then Monterrey scores at, 90 plus 2 to tie it at 1 to take it back to Monterrey. And Monterrey to win tonight is a minus 1111. There's an Arkell song in there. Research on your own. And Selaju to win tonight, just to give you the numbers, a plus 1857 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Cruz Azul and Vancouver FC's second leg is tomorrow, and that is at 8 o'clock. Cruz Azul won that first leg 3-0 in Langley, BC, and Vancouver is a plus 1907. They're the biggest underdog on the board of the three matchups that are left. So that is the rundown of the Triple C. And I'm trying to see if there's anything left. I think we got the news of the day covered. So now let me go back, because this is what I wanted to do, and go over the numbers with Kurt that Kurt and Sportico posted in their rundown. So, and now Kurt has Kurt can come back at the end of April. They published their top 50 soccer clubs in the world, and so we can definitely going to do that. Well, that was intriguing. Just shut down on its own. That's not nice. So I get it now. So anytime we try to bring up John Texter, then things get wonky. Okay, I'll bite. Now, not knowing where we left off, here I'll go back to the beginning. Planeta de Football has 2.7 million followers on the 180 character app. And they're pretty deep when it comes to all of the words and all of the deeds and things like that. So, Planeta de Football is reporting this. You can follow them on Instagram. Like I said, they got 2.7 million followers on the X. So we heard it on the X, and now we're telling you. The funding, and this is their story from 8:35 this morning, so before we got on the air. The funding John Texter secured for Botafogo has sky-high interest rates because his plan is not to pay it back. The $20 million injection is expected to total 50 in the coming months, which we kind of knew. That was the numbers that had been floated out in some manners were up to 50 million US. And it was reported it was only 25 in this go-around. My guess it was two separate tranches of 25. The first one was to pay Atlanta United. Second one is to take care of business with Botafogo. Now, you'll remember this morning with what Jason had mentioned involving John Texter. Botafogo once again taking on high-interest capital to navigate financial pressure to pay back Atlanta for the Almada transfer, cost of the loans raising internal concern. Plan is to convert the funding into equity, turning investors into shareholders, easing the debt burden, protecting his control of the structure. This will anger Aries and everybody else that's got a piece of the action trying to get paid through what they've loaned him at Eagle Football. So even sources that supported the loan confirm that the interest rates are extremely high. This is not the first time that this has happened. The interest rates with Aries, to give you an example, could went as high as 19.4%, if I'm not mistaken. On top of that, Botafogo pledged player sales revenue as collateral. Hey, we can sell these players, and that'll be the collateral up against the loan. Interest rates are sky high, almost unpayable. Texter's strategy is not to pay, but this has nothing to do with defaulting. Funding came from Hutton Capital and GDA Luma. GDA Luma specializes in, quote, toxic assets or debt-laden institutions and has an interest in taking control of the Eagle clubs, Texter's company. In practice, instead of repaying the money with interest, Texter and Botafogo could settle the debt with SAF shares. Investors would become shareholders or even owners of the SAF. Investors behind the funding want to become shareholders and controllers of Eagle, bringing Lyon back into the fold. As the deal progresses, they could negotiate the exit of Aries and Iconic. Remember, Iconic is owed 75 plus interest from the lawsuits going back and forth with England and Miami. Aries invested three separate tranches of roughly $500 million. And the interest rates, and there are things that Aries can't touch right now in Brazil. So we have to look at what Aries is, where Aries has invested, we know. What Aries can't touch, we know. And so we've got to keep an eye on that. Eagle shareholders who are battling Texter for control of the company and demanding about $550 million from the American. Loan provides Texter yet another layer of protection because if anyone ousts him from SAF and Botafogo, they'll inherit the debt. which is likely to balloon due to the high interest rates. With the move, Textor effectively becomes an almost non-negotiable part of the solution to the whole saga. And that comes from Pedro Lopez as a part of his work at UOL on the Insta and all the other places. So keep an eye on John Textor. That's the latest there from Planeta de Football. And we'll keep an eye on that. So teams are releasing their other kits. FC Cincinnati's unveiled their Seven Hills kit. Vancouver has launched the Coastal jersey. Dynamo is launching the Mission Control kit. I'm going to click on it and see what that looks like. And photos of the kit, including the explainer graphic, are here. And that looks pretty cool. I like the shades of purple and orange going back against each other. I like that. So the Bring the Hustle campaign for Houston this year. And the Tina Turner kit is amazing that St. Louis City has put out. Let's see. So the DNA kit has been released by FC Dallas. And like I said, everybody's kind of piecing things back and forth and looking at what's going on with all these different elements that are attached. So everybody's releasing their new kits. We'll keep an eye on all of those. RSL has unveiled their primary jersey, the Claret and Cobalt Switchback Kit. Celebrates the Beehive State's legacy of pioneering spirit. So we'll keep an eye on that. And let's see. That, I think, okay, yes. And so RSL released that information in both English and Spanish. Okay, so here is the numbers, and like I said, we're right up against it, so we'll kind of briefly get into it, and it'll be a topic that we kind of hang on to as we go forward here. So Eben Novy-Williams, we mentioned the top 10 going through San Diego at 765. Charlotte is number 11. DC is still at 12. Portland at 13. Philadelphia 14. Toronto middle of the pack at 15. Chicago at 16. Remember, they've got a new building coming in at 690. Sporting, St. Louis City, Nashville Red Bulls, Minnesota United, Houston Dynamo, San Jose, just don't mention John Fisher, RSL, Orlando City, the purple team is at 565, Revs are at 560, FC Dallas 555, and then three that are under 500, Rapids, Vancouver, and CF Montreal. CF Montreal is now last at 430 million. They are now last in the barn, and Miami up to now 1.45 billion with a B, and Atlanta United is number 4 at 1.14 billion, up from 1.12. So that is the rundown of all of that with the numbers that came from our friends at Sportico. Great to have Kurt Badenhausen on this morning to kind of break things down. So, okay, now that's going to do it for about 50 minutes, and we're going to come back at noon. And we're going to break everything down when it comes to the high school game. We're going to have visits from coaches, all the things, and it'll be great to catch up and kind of start our coverage on Wednesdays now in this particular footprint with the Red Clay Soccer Report. And it's going to be every Wednesday at noon during the regular season, and then every day during the playoffs. Not quite an hour unless we can fill to an hour, and we'll just take it and see it where it goes in the 2026 season when it comes to the GHSA. Thanks to all of our guests, Ronan Wynne, Aaron Adams, Lagos Kunga, Kurt Badenhausen. And thanks to all of y'all for dropping by. And I don't know why the signal dropped. That's the second time this week that it has, and I'm not happy about it. So we will continue to roll forward with all this stuff, and we'll take it over again tomorrow. So for all of you that were with us, thanks for surviving all of the dump outs and everything, and we'll be back at it again at 9:05 Eastern tomorrow morning. And once again, hour number 1 will get you ready for everything. Power Hour and hour number 2 with Nino and Nico. Kelly Schultes from the Northern Super League is going to join us at 11 to break down everything from year 1 in women's professional soccer in Canada and get you ready for year number 2. So for everybody here at SDH, mucha platiel, play it safe. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. We'll see you in a little less than an hour for the high school coverage. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Bye.